The views and opinions expressed by the guests, callers, and hosts on this and all Rense Radio Network programs do not necessarily reflect or agree with those of the network, its commercial sponsors, its radio station affiliates, or internet broadcast platforms. In these controversial times, we believe the First Amendment and freedom of the press are absolutely essential to the survival of our nation. Thank you. And now, enjoy the program.
There's much going on, much more than I can even imagine trying to cover in an hour or even 5 hours. Gerald Celente is with us this first hour tonight. Gerald's new issue of Trends is out. He is just a remarkable man. He's been at this game of life a long time. He's able to see things well ahead because he looks, he thinks, he reads, he processes, and he has an intuitive sense about the human condition that all mixes together to bring trends research, the TrendsJournal, our way, and it's out now. Welcome back, Gerald.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Jeff.
Listen, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but at Rense there is a story, and the first word of the story is horror. It's at the top of the center column, and it is in the latest Fukushima updates box. It says, horror, proof Pacific, almost extinct of life, radiation. And it's a video. And I got hold of this yesterday, and a gentleman who has been a professional diver his entire life. He is, he's actually done much more than that. He's very skilled. His name is Dana Durnford, D-U-R-N-F-O-R-D, Dana Durnford. What, have you seen it, Gerald? Have you heard about it yet? You will.
No, I haven't. But I will look at it, and matter of fact, I've been, I'm not to the extent that you have. We try to keep Trends in the News videos that we do every weekday, bringing Fukushima to the forefront, but not at the level you are.
Well, wait till you see this. You're,
all right, I'm looking it up now, and I'm going to look at it, and we will also tell our listeners about it as well.
Well, thank you.
And as a matter of fact, yesterday, just to let you know that I was mentioning it, the Japanese GDP, gross domestic product, fell 6.7%.
Biggest
That's
dive
huge.
since 3/11.
Exactly, when Fukushima, the tragedy hit.
Yeah.
And so we mentioned that, and then I went on to say, but everything's okay over there. You know, it's perfect. They contain the situation.
Right.
There's no problems at all.
No.
You know, make sure you have that sushi. You'll love it.
Yeah.
It'll make you glow in the dark and live longer.
Take your kids swimming in the waters off Fukushima. We got a story about that one, too. Listen, let me tell you briefly what it is, Gerald. And what we've done, this is an hour and 15-minute video. I watched the whole thing. I have my editor, we're just about to upload it, reduced it to 20 minutes. We've tightened it up, and I've talked to Dana, and he's elated about that. So we'll have the shorter version up in an hour, probably. But what he did, having grown up on the coast of British Columbia as a diver. He used to run 14 dive ships, commercial dive ships, going down for sea urchins for the Asian market and all that. The man knows basically every meter of the British Columbia coast. He has, as of 9 months ago, gotten on to the Fukushima cover-up by watching what we've been doing at Rense. And he said, I talked to the guy a couple times, wonderful man. He said, it took me 9 months to get caught up to where you are. And I went with a friend, this is, I guess, a week ago, on a trip up the British Columbia coast, 200 kilometers. And he said, I dove these waters hundreds of times. I know every bit of that coastline. 200 kilometers up the coast on the inland side of Vancouver Island, that enormous 300-mile-long island. He found on the coast where the waters meet the sand and the tide pools and the rocks, that there was absolutely no life left. It's gone. No kelp beds, no fish, no snails, no crabs, no sea anemones, no urchins, nothing. It looks like Mars with water. Here and there a little hint of green. There are over 5,000 species of animals that normally inhabit the waters along the shores. There are over 600 species of vegetation that normally inhabit the waters along the shores, from the kelp beds, the bull kelp, inland to the actual, the little green stuff that you see in tide pools. He found in 200 kilometers, Gerald, 4 total remaining species visible, identifiable, and only occasionally observable out of 5,600. It's dead. It's gone. He told very eloquently in his video how the shoreline, 30 feet deep of water and into where the surf meets the actual rocks or the sand, that's called the nursery of the ocean, the nursery of the sea. He said the nursery is dead. There's no more nursery there. Now, if you look at a map, and let me finish this, the North Pacific current comes from Japan, really off the island of Honshu, very close to Fukushima, and arches all the way across the Pacific Ocean at about 10 knots. It runs into Vancouver Island. Now, the damage that he found was on the inland side. There's an inlet there. There's all kinds of water and inlets on the inner side of the island, between the mainland and the island. This damage, this annihilation, is on the inside. That current hit Vancouver Island, and there's so much radiation built up now after 3.5 years, it went around the island and circulated as the ocean waters do, and literally has annihilated all ocean life, which is what I've, been saying for 3.5 years is going to happen. Yoichi Shimatsu has been right with me all the way. This man has done a videotape which shows exactly what these assholes have done with Fukushima. There is no more life along the British Columbia coast for at least 200 clicks. He's going back in another week to make another longer trip further north. He said, Jeff, there aren't even any insects along the tide pools. There are no insects on my windshield on my car. No insects in the grill of my truck. Nothing. It's gone. It's dead. That's what we have done to this planet, and what I'm telling you has happened along the coast of British Columbia is in all likelihood going to do the same thing to the entire Pacific coast and then the rest of the planet.
I see it already has 56,000 views and some wonderful comments. I want to read to you, this is from my book Trends 2000 that I wrote in 1996. Mm-hmm. And it was a Warner book. It was in 17 different languages. In Chapter 7, From Meltdown to Mayhem. And I go on to say, new trucks develop faults as well, from Ford to Intel to NASA, there has never been a manufacturer of anything who did not produce a lemon. Whether it's Ford recalling 8.7 million vehicles or Intel manufacturing 5.5 million defective Pentium computer chips, or the dozens of failed or exploding space launches, there has never been a fault-free technology. In 1995, there were 432 nuclear reactors worldwide and 42 under construction. And then I start to list them. New Delhi closes 8 nuclear plants. This is AP without going into the language. 7/10/93. Canadian nuke plant closed. AP 13/12/94. Reactor cracks. 7 U.S. nuclear reactors developed cracks, and 3 others appear they could crack, according to the group of utilities that use the reactors. 7/1/94. Vital gauge in reactor found prone to error. Federal regulators said today that nuclear plants around the country were using instruments to measure the depth of cooling water in reactors that were prone to error and could lead to operator error in the event of an accident. New York Times, 7/30/92. Nuclear plant is criticized on procedures. The failure of employees to follow established work control procedures led to last month's shutdown of 9 Mile Point, 1 nuclear reactor, federal reactor, New York Times, 3/5/92. Shutdowns. 3 nuclear power plants went through emergency shutdown Saturday, but for different reasons. 8/24/92. Uranium leak at Tennessee laboratory brings fears of accidental chain reaction. Uranium leaking from an old experimental reactor at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee has lodged in a pipe outside the nuclear reactor building, raising fears of an accidental nuclear chain reaction. New York Times, 11/25/94. On and on and on and on. Page after page after page, I listed them.
Yeah.
Fukushima is just one of them. The whole world is ready to go.
You got it. The point of no return, ladies and gentlemen, is behind us. Nuclear power will kill us. This is an extinction event.
Uranium rusting in storage pools is troubling U.S. 12/8/24. Mishaps, I love that word. Cast pall over big atomic waste site.
Yeah.
7/5/15/93. Deadly nuclear waste seems to have leaked into Washington State. Hey, don't worry about it. It's okay. One after another, page after page after page after page.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Hanford.
So Fukushima is just one of the many tragedies being caused by madmen and sociopaths.
They're insane. We are going to die sooner rather than later unless nuclear power is ended now. We have to find some place to put the waste. There's no place. They haven't put it anywhere. No, this has been going on for how long? All around.
This stuff is still stored above in these rusted old tanks, leaking everywhere.
Well,
I can't imagine why cancer rates are going so high.
No,
let's do a study. I got an idea. I got a lot of friends we could give the money to in government, and they could do a study.